Hello and welcome back to Invincible Asia. I'm George Clark and today I get to check out Jackie Chan's The Medallion, released on Blu-ray by Idiot Films. Don't forget folks, before we go any further, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, like the video and all that jibber jabber, and thank you very much for supporting Invincible Asia. So here we have it, the second Jackie Chan Blu-ray release from Idiot Films in as many weeks, along with their new deluxe edition re-release of Battle Creek Brawl. Two Jackie Chan movies that aren't favourites of mine, they still have their own kind of charm, I suppose, and I do enjoy them, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely not high on my list of favourite Jackie Chan movies. Still, glad that it's got that release, and I know it is on a limited license. I think it's like a 6-month license they have to sell this, so if you want to get your hands on this, you better be quick, because it's not going to be around for long, if I'm being honest. I'm going to jump back, of course, to start where I first saw The Medallion with you, and that is not even with this Hong Kong DVD. Excuse me, the first time I saw The Medallion was via a bootleg DVD. I was at a car boot sale close to home. There it was on some guy's table, along with lots of other movies that hadn't been released yet, of course. This was way back in 2003, I want to say. Yeah, 2003. Picked it up for about £3. Just excited to get home and finally see this movie, because I had spent the previous few years living between Canada and America, chasing Jackie Chan all over. Whenever I heard he was somewhere shooting a movie there or having an interview in a particular place, I was shooting like from Toronto to New York to LA, trying to find this guy, trying to finally meet my hero. Then I was back in Toronto. I heard that him and Sammo and Gordon Chan were here in Ireland, in Dublin, making The Medallion. And by the time I had raised enough funds to fly back home, and again raise enough funds, although it's not far from Belfast, to raise enough funds to travel from Belfast to Dublin. Finally thinking I was going to make it. I was going to get there and at least see my hero in front of me. And when I'd finally gotten the money to get back home and get to Dublin, Jackie had then stopped shooting The Medallion because he had to go to Toronto, where I just left, to make the tuxedo. And to rub salt in the wounds, then Chow Yun-fat turned up soon after that in Toronto to make Bulletproof Monk. So I wasn't a happy chappy, let's just say. I was very, very pissed off, and even more so when I saw that they had shot a scene in this up near the castle, which is in Portrush, which is not too far from home here. So they came to the north and they shot a scene there where the helicopter comes into the cave. There's no way that helicopter would fit into that cave, trust me. But I was even more angry when I realised that they'd done stuff here in the north. Very, very pissed off, let's just say. And I think that somehow has left a sour taste in my mouth when it comes to this film. Anyway, the bootleg DVD didn't last too long. Of course, then it got its official DVD release. And at that stage, I was managing a DVD store. But I never did pick up the official release. I don't know why. I think because it wasn't really a favourite Jackie Chan movie of mine, I was in no rush to. Then I did manage to get my hands on this Hong Kong DVD release from Universe, which I was very, very happy for. Of course, anything that's more authentically Hong Kong or Chinese or Japanese or Thai, wherever it's from, I prefer to have my hands on. And The Medallion, although it is Gordon Chan's first English language not my first language, English language film, and all shot pretty much in English. It is a Hong Kong production, really. It's not an American production, and it's very, very, very inspired, I have to say. Very inspired by the animated show Jackie Chan Adventures, which I adore. I mean, that absolutely needs a Blu-ray box set. But there's a lot of similarities in both that cartoon and in this film. And ironically, unfortunately, the late Julian Sands, who plays Snakehead in this, the villain of this, also voiced, I want to say Voldemort. I can't remember his name. in the Jackie Chan Adventures, he also voiced the head villain in that too. So there was a lovely connection. It was great to bring that full circle into a movie, and in some respects, do a live action movie of the show, I suppose. But there was also a lot of cuts and a lot of deleted scenes, which I'm really hoping are on that Blu-ray from 88 Films. Gordon Chan had shot quite a bit more. There was a totally different storyline with Snakehead wanting to create this kind of, because it was initially called Highbinders, right? Kind of playing off the Highlander, I suppose. But initially, yeah, there was supposed to be a longer running time, but then when Columbia TriStar bought over the distribution and editing rights, they kind of ordered some reshoots. They weren't happy with Gordon Chan's initial cut, I do believe. Got another guy to direct some extra scenes, and I think they're quite noticeable if I can remember correctly, because Jackie has longer hair in them, and those would be his hair extensions from Shanghai Nights, nearly sure. So you can see where those reshoots came into play there. Regardless, and as much as it's not a favourite of mine, mainly due to Lee Evans and some crummy writing, I really don't find that I think Lee Evans was very miscast in this, very much so. I don't really appreciate him in this movie in that role. I think he's quite unfunny in this, at least. Sorry, but there is some holes, let's say, in the plot. There's also some pretty bad writing, considering it had 5 writers there, one of which was the director Gordon Chan. You had producer Alfred Chung, who also pops up in this movie, and then you had a few others there, 3 others, Western writers, including Bay Logan, who took part in writing this script. Now, 5 people writing a script and the thing still can't be perfect is kind of worrying in itself. But overall, it still proved to be quite an enjoyable show. Sammo's fight scenes are fun. They're definitely not his finest. There's still a lot of exciting moments in here, and I do believe, as far as I can remember, it's more the first half is more physical, hand-to-hand stuff. And then after that, when Jackie kind of gets his superpowers, I suppose, then it becomes a different type of action movie. That's quite similar with the Tuxedo, I suppose. Like, Jackie, for me, this is why it doesn't work, and this is why the Tuxedo didn't work either. I think Jackie is, and he always has been, called the special effect of his own movies. And I feel like giving him something like a medallion that gives him superpowers, or a tuxedo that gives him superpowers, it didn't really suit who Jackie was and who we as Jackie Chan fans knew him to be. I think that both the medallion and the tuxedo should have had Sammo Hung as the leading guy. I think, given the stature of the big man, I think not thinking for a Western audience, sorry, not to see that this big fat guy could move the way he can, but to give him these abilities and powers to do so, whether it was via a medallion or via tuxedo. I think that would have been more impressive. It definitely would have had a much better positive effect on the audience than putting an absolute legendary stuntman and action hero as Jackie Chan in that role. Anyway, regardless, let's get stuck in here to see what 88 have brought us. Very surprised that they've went ahead with the generic artwork. I don't know whether that was in the contract to the distribution contract that they had to use that. I was really hoping that Sean Longmore would have got hold of this movie, or Kung Fu Bob. Sorry, either. I would have been very happy with both. But for them just to kind of go ahead with the generic artwork, although give it a lovely polish and sheen clean up there, is very cool. I really like that. But still, I have to say that one of the most positive things about this movie is that for a Jackie Chan Hong Kong production, it definitely has the best Western cast of any of his movies. I mean, there's always been a bad thing about Jackie Chan's movies. It's always been the Westerners. They've always been pretty dodgy, let's say, in their acting or any other sort of element. Often just taken in for comedy relief or as stuntmen. But with this, there is a very, very strong Western cast, and it is just amazing. Claire Forlani is wonderful in this. I think she does a fantastic job. Julian Sands, as I said. Lee Evans, I mean, he does give a decent performance. It's quite annoying and very unfunny. But then you have John Rhys Davies in there, the Welsh actor, who's wonderful, from likes of Lord of the Rings, Indiana Jones, things like that. He's obviously quite a big actor there, and so many more. And then of course you have Hong Kong legend Anthony Wong in there also. His only movie with Jackie Chan, which is very odd to think when the guy has over 200 movies under his belt. Anyway, here we have it. The Medallion 2003, so it's out on its 20th birthday. Reduced there from, as I'm just seeing on the back, reduced from the original 108 minute cut to 88 minutes. So it's lost about 20 minutes there. But overall, this is the only edit ever really available out there. I do know that Columbia TriStar, aka Sony, when they bought the distribution rights, they didn't pick up the rights for Japan, Hong Kong, and France, I believe. But still, it was this exact edit that still went out in those countries. There's no other edit there. Anyway, here's what we get with this limited edition Blu-ray release of The Medallion from 88 Films. We have got a 1080p high definition widescreen presentation in its English language, 5.1 or 2.0 stereo. 14 deleted scenes, that tells you how much has been cut from this. 14 deleted scenes plus an alternate ending. An in-depth full-length audio commentary with producer and editor. Oh, it doesn't tell you his name. So yeah, with the audio commentary with the producer and editor. Now that could be interesting, but again, interesting to me that why they weren't able to sort of grab any of the stars from the show to do this, or even Gordon Chan himself. And then we also have a trailer on there, and then English subtitles are available. Region B, so only for the use here in the UK as such in Europe. But yeah, I'm getting it covered in fingerprints already. I mean, I am excited that it finally got a release. I'm really hoping that 88 go down the road of following up with the likes of Thunderbolt and things like that, which would have been the first project Gordon Chan, Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan would have worked on together. That would have been 95, I believe. But this is also the first, because Sammo does the action choreography in this, if you didn't already know. Although I'm saying it would have been good for him to be the star. He does the action choreography, and that would be the first time he's working with Jackie Chan since directing him in Mr. Nice Guy, which would have been about 6 years prior to this. Anyway, let's slide this out here, and inside we've got the same cover there, which will be the generic release once those slips go, if they sell out that quick. Inside though, it's a bare bones, unfortunately. There's no booklet, there's no poster, there's pretty much nothing to get excited about. And they've just wasted their ink in giving us a reversible cover here, as you can see. And on the other side, no, it's true, I did turn it round. Look, there's just nothing to really get you excited about, unless it's to spot the difference. I don't know, but yeah, quite disappointing. Yeah, I'm saying nothing else. That's all I can share with you. I'm glad I was able to tell you something about the movie and about my my history of it, unfortunately, or this would have been a very, very short video. But I'm going to go now. Jesus Christ. Check it out. Pop it up against the DVD for 10 minutes just to see how it looks, and come right back and let you know what I think. So, just back after checking out the 88 Films Blu-ray release of Jackie Chan's The Medallion, and I have to say, this was a lot more fun than I remembered it. This was probably the best I have ever seen it look. The HD print looked fantastic, and I did have a lot of fun, I have to say. I was expecting to be as disappointed as I was before, but it's been almost, I would say, definitely over 15 years since I last watched that movie, and this was absolutely worth it. I am so glad to have seen it now on Blu-ray with this HD transfer. I have to say though, the transfer itself did highlight just how bad the forest fight between him and Julian Sands, how bad that was lit. It's pretty rough looking in comparison to the rest of the film there, but it's still a pretty cool scene. There's a lot to enjoy in this. I think the first 45 minutes offer a much more different movie, whereas the second half there would be very much about the more supernatural, more comedy style of fighting. But definitely one that has went up in my books, I have to say. Not a favourite by any means, definitely not my Jackie Chan top 10, but it definitely has went up in terms of how I used to think of this movie. What else we got on here? So yeah, there was a lot to love. The action was great. It was heartbreaking to know they were so close to home. Jackie looks fantastic in this, I have to admit. He looks brilliant. Apart from his other Hollywood productions, I think this is probably one of the most polished Hong Kong films that he has been in, that he looks so well. The NGs at the end were fantastic. It shows that everyone seems to be having a great time. Jackie, even Lee Evans there, Claire Forlani looks to be having an absolute ball. I would have loved to have been a part of it. It just would have been a fantastic experience. Of course it would. But also seeing there that, you know, Scott Adkins there, the young Scott Adkins. You've got Jude Poyer popping up, Mark Strange, the late Brad Allen, of course, shows up throughout there, and many others. It was great to see this again after so many years. Absolutely brilliant. The alternate ending runs for about just under 3 minutes in length. It's in SD, it's not restored in any way, but pretty cool in ending. I think I might prefer that one, the alternate ending. I never was a fan of the cheesy ending here where he takes, where Jackie and Claire run off hand in hand through the castle, all sped up and then suddenly burst through the walls and fly through the air. I always hated that. I thought it was a pretty shit ending. It was a really, fuck me, it was terrible. It was such a cheesy American closure to such a fun film, but I think the alternate ending on here would have worked a lot better. Was definitely a much stronger contender, without a doubt. With that then, you have 30 minutes, just under, 30 minutes of deleted scenes. Wow. I mean, I know everyone wanted the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. I'm kind of like, can we see the Gordon Chan cut of the Medallion, please? Because there was some stuff in there that really caught my attention and would have made this a whole different movie. Of course, as Highbinders, it followed a storyline more so about, I think I mentioned this before, where Snakehead wanted to create an army of Highbinders, kind of bringing the dead back to life as such. And you see some of that. There's some scenes with human trafficking and that going on in there. The first deleted scene was pretty interesting because it has Lee Evans dressed up in disguise as this crazy Russian ship captain, which obviously came about just before Jackie and his SWAT guys infiltrate the boat at night to rescue the kid. But there was a lot more Anthony Wong. There was some scenes with more Christy Chung. There was definitely some more action scenes, which would have been great to see in there. There was a shrunken head scene where Jackie manages to shrink the heads of Scott and the others, and their little hands. It was hilarious. But I mean, this is what I mean. Why not allow that Gordon Chan cut? Why not give us the chance to see that alternate version of the Medallion of Highbinders? Let us see what Highbinders should have been. I think that needs to be a bit of an online push there, I think. What else we got on here? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. There was a theatrical trailer that was restored, looked great in HD, and then the audio commentary from the producer and editor. I didn't watch it with that as yet. I will go back and check that out. But all in all, yes, a few disappointments along the way with the release and of course with the movie. I can't hide the fact that there is some really dodgy moments in there. But Definitely for me, a double thumbs up. Super glad that 88 Films have put this out there on their label, and glad that it is now in my collection. So thank you once again for watching another video here on Invincible Asia. Don't forget you can check out hundreds of others here on the channel. You can also show your continued support by heading over to my new merch store or by checking out invincibleasia.com, where you can read my full movie reviews, and follow me on Instagram at Invincible Asia. Until next time though, enjoy your Kung Fu and I will see you soon.